Metalheads, today we're going to embark on a quest, a journey to discover what makes something heavy. We're going to talk about 10 aspects that make music heavy, and one of the unifying characteristics, one of the central points I think you'll find is that metal is about strong expression. It's music for people who feel deeply. The first aspect of heavy music is instrumentation and timbre. Timbre is just tone quality. So, I mean, you're probably not going to get a very heavy sound if you're using something like the triangle or the marimba. What we need is, of course, distorted electric guitar, heavy thumping bass, some crushing, pounding drums, and vocals too can really contribute. A big part of the metal sound has to do with equalization, the actual aspects of the frequency range that we're targeting. Now, I want to draw more attention in point number 2 to guitar distortion, because this may just be the most primary element of the metal sound. Back in 1951, Jackie Brenston and the Delta Cats had a song they recorded called Rocket 88. Crazy thing is that the guitar player Willie Kazart, his amplifier got damaged accidentally on the way to recording. Damage resulted in this gritty sound that became the defining feature of the song. Now check this out, listen close. It definitely helps to have headphones on, although I know most of you are just gonna be watching this on your smartphone while taking a shit. That is what it is. There it is, distortion for the first time. Sometimes it's the mistakes that we make or the imperfections in our approach or the accidents that happen that become our best qualities. The whole concept of distortion is fascinating. You can read the Wikipedia article on it. What's really happening is that the waveform is being cut off. It's being clipped, and you can see a visual representation of that. Here's the original signal, but then the clipping or the distorted sound just cuts off the top of that waveform you can see right here. And this became such a popular effect that we started to make pedals to emulate this. Get your music game on a heavier level with my free guitar newsletter below. Tabs, tips, and tricks. Take things to the next level with my brand new release course. It's called Solo Like a Guitar God with Music Theory. A lot of people get stuck because they're trying to figure out how to rip the licks that they want, like Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads or the Heroes, but they don't understand the theory behind what those players are doing. In this course, I break it all down into a few simple steps. We use our ears and we study things like keys, chords, and scales. These are the essential mechanisms to get the sounds that you want in your solos. And you're gonna wanna hurry on this. You have until Wednesday, August 2nd to get 50% off, a massive deal. The third aspect of heavy music is dissonance. So in music theory, when we talk about dissonance, we mean things that are not harmonious or consonant. They have like this biting edge to them. What it really comes down to is a more complicated ratio between the vibration of the pitches. A band like Black Sabbath used some of these dissonant intervals for the first time to kind of get noticed, basically. They're trying to provide shock value, and they lifted this concept from Gustav Holst's Mars, the Bringer of War, using this tritone interval. So here we are in Guitar Pro, and I want to show you exactly what this is. So if you have a G note there, and then we have a C sharp note there, this is what we call the devil's interval. This concept of, this dissonant sound, and then we're ascribing, these supernatural characteristics to it. That's part of what makes it cool, is the story behind it. Another really dissonant interval that's popular in metal music is the minor second, which is a G to A flat. That's the smallest interval you can get. And Black Sabbath would use these intervals, for example, in their song Black Sabbath. It started on this G note, and then it went up to another G, and then they came down to the C sharp here. Another good example of this dissonance being used in music, or chromaticism as we call it, is Slayer's Raining Blood. Here you can literally look at the accidental notes or the sharp notes. These fall outside of the key, and it causes this unnerving sense of, oh, you know, what's going on? What's going to happen? It creates a lot of tension, right? Here's a little sample. Number 4 aspect of heavy music is rhythm. Having a driving repetition, this pounding sensation. A lot of times metal music occupies faster tempos, and it even uses syncopation, which means offbeat. Judas Priest has a song called Painkiller, in which we can hear this pounding, driving rhythm. The 5th aspect of heavy music is palm muting. That's when you put your palm on the bridge of the guitar, and you can even hear the difference on an acoustic. If this is just regular strumming, when I put my palm on there, it deadens the sound and it creates this tighter low end. In music notation, we designate the palm mute by saying PM right here. And this is a good example of palm muting technique, Metallica's Master of Puppets. So you can see that they're relying on this technique heavily throughout the riff. Number 6 is dynamics, this soft to loud or crescendo, you know, starting small and then growing into something bigger. This is an essential component of making something heavy. Now, Metallica's Enter Sandman, which has sold 30 million copies, is probably the best example of this dynamic rise. Starts with this low-key acoustic blues lick. It eventually grows into this demonic roar. Low tunings is a big aspect of heavy music. Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath used to tune down. He was probably the first one to do this because of his finger accident. He chopped off a couple of the tips of his fingers on his last day at work at the metal factory. I mean, what's more metal than that when you work at a metal factory? So he was trying to reduce the string tension, which would make it easier to play, and inadvertently invented a whole genre, basically. Now today, we get into 7, 8, 9, and extended range instruments. You get Stevie T's ridiculous 20-string. It might be 69 strings, I'm not exactly sure. The truth is the standard is still heavy. You know, Metallica typically records in standard tuning to this day, but you just have to leave space for other instruments. You know, the bass can handle that low end, and then you have the guitar in the mid-range. You don't have to have 27 billion string guitars. Aggressive vocals are a big feature of metal music. Remember, strong expression is the central unifying theory that sort of connects all of these heavy elements together. High range, low range, intensity. Some metal vocalists are even operatically trained. Here's an example of some Cookie Monster vocals, the extreme death metal sound. Check it out by Cannibal Corpse. Lyrical themes are another aspect of heavy music, exploring the dark side of life. Think of Call of the Cthulhu by Metallica. This is a song about H.P. Lovecraft's sea monster, you know, that rises up from the deep and destroys the ship. Or, you know, metal music might explore the dark side of social issues. It might be talking about nuclear war. As it turns out, you know, there's more than just love and romance to discuss. Or visual presentation is a big aspect of what makes things heavy. If you look at King Diamond here, he's got, you know, inverted crosses. He's got the black attire. He's got the pentagram on his hat. So he's leveraging things like corpse paint, dark colors, and even symbolism to create this heavy vibe. Did I miss anything? I want to hear from you guys. What makes music heavy in your opinion?